Okay, hi everyone. This is Malka, and this is another video. Today's topic is one of those topics that, as you can see, I'm smiling because I find it just such an annoying question. And that is, how do you answer, tell me a weakness about yourself? Now, I actually had the opportunity this last year to do some hiring. And although it wasn't my first time hiring people, it was my first time hiring in a long time. And I was amazed because I had written out a group of questions for the for the job that I was interviewing for. And one of the questions on that list was the exact question, tell me a weakness about yourself. And I was not surprised, actually, when I got the answers that I got. And it's funny because the answers that I got in response to the question is what actually made me hold up the hiring process. I hope that makes sense. That I was just so amazed that so many people had this, the generic answers. One candidate had said to me, "Oh, yeah, I don't have any weaknesses." And I laughed and I said to myself, "Oh, yeah, no, that person I definitely didn't hire." I had someone who sugarcoated the response by telling me that they couldn't let me know at the moment what their weaknesses were, but they could assure me that they were a team player. And I remember thinking, wow, that's really wild. So I came to the conclusion that the reason why it was so hard to get a straight answer for this question is that in light of, it's the age of the internet. People can look things up and, they've probably did a little bit of research before coming in, which is what you're supposed to do before you come into an interview, right? You're supposed to get an idea of what kind of questions are being asked or what are typical questions for this particular job, and then make sure that you got the right answers ready. Let them roll off the tip of your tongue. You got them ready for when you show up. I think the thing that many people forget with interviews is that the question, tell me a weakness about yourself, is there to see. It's a way of getting around the put your best foot forward methodology of life. Okay, we all know, we've all been raised that when you go outside in public, you put your best foot forward. You put your outside face on, you put your outside manners on. Now, if you're like my parents, they made us behave the same way inside and outside, so that it would be second nature. But I digress. Most people are not like that, though. Most people feel like in my house, in the confines of my four walls, I should be able to say, do, and behave any way that I want. And when I go outside, I'm going to behave myself better. And that's going to be true for jobs. When we know that we're going into a new job, the first thing that you want to do is you want to show a little bit of manners. You're going to come, you're going to show up, you're going to present in a pleasant manner. You're going to put as much of a best foot effort as possible, because ultimately you would like your new employer to see you as a potentially good fit, right? And HR managers, hiring managers, they know that. They know to anticipate it because, like I said, we all know it. We all know to do this. We all know to do it. We know to do it, and we know to expect it to be done. It's kind of like when you date. Everybody shows up at the date, and both you and the other party speak to each other. And the first date goes by, second date goes by, and everything's like still very, pleasant. Third day goes by, and that'll happen for at least a month, month and a half, and then slowly you'll start to see that mask slipping away. So asking the question, tell me a great weakness about yourself, would be the equivalent in, let's say, we go back to the dating scenario, where if you're like me anyway, you'll find a way to create some kind of, you'll say something that's controversial so that you could see another side of this person. You want to see the layers. And I, for one, not very patient. I don't want to date someone for like a year, 6 months, 5 months before I see all these changes that potentially may be there, because it doesn't mean that it's going to be there, but I want to know. And so within that first month, I will say something controversial. I will start a mediocre argument, or at least just to see if they if they're going to fight back, how they're going to react to me. And the reason for that is very, very simple. This is going to be a relationship, right? And a relationship, like going into a job, is also a relationship. And in my case, the relationship would be about, well, is this person going to be a bigot? Is this person going to be a racist towards me? Is this person going to be a misogynist towards me? Is this person going to be just straight up abusive? Whether it's physically or verbally. All these layers that it potentially could be there, I want to see them if they are there. And the same thing for an employer. And that's why we ask that ridiculous question of, hey, tell me a weakness, And everybody goes, I don't have one, Now, everyone knows full well that they are not perfect, but yet we all still throw that back in as an answer. And it's actually kind of sad. But the interviewer will know by your response that you are somebody who can potentially act in an appropriate manner, or act in a manner that would be sufficient for the position that you are trying to apply for. And so that is why we need this type of question to be asked. I think another popular answer to the question is, I care too much. And I always laugh. I actually hired somebody who told me this. And it's funny because when I heard the answer, I cringed. I knew I was desperate for staff. I mean, for the particular environment that we worked in, I did not actually hire staff because it took me so long, because I wanted to make sure that the people that I was hiring would be a good fit, because we needed people who could stay long term, and I needed people who could work together with other people. Funny thing is, the staff that I ended up hiring were not perfect fits for the job. They were enthusiastic, which I think was a plus. And the other thing is that their traits kind of crisscrossed over like this, so that they fit like a puzzle piece, which was very interesting. And so in that respect, I'm actually kind of proud of myself that they had done it. And back to the I care too much response, that individual I had predicted would not last very long at the position because of that answer. And the funny thing is, that person actually did not last very long in the position. They ended up leaving shortly after receiving the position. So I would say I care too much would not be a really good answer to the question. I think most people want to come with that, I want to be realistic and I want to be honest. And so and I'm sure that's something that can be appreciated. If somebody came and said to me, I'm here for the money, I would probably laugh, because it's probably such a truer words have never been spoken. Yet at the same time, the question is, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean that if you don't get the money, you're not going to do your job? If you don't get enough money, sooner or later, you're going to quit your job? There's just too many variables with that. Hey, I'm here for the money. I would respect the person giving me the answer, but I don't think I would hire them. The same thing would probably be true for the person who says, in my last job, my feelings got hurt, and I just cursed at everybody and walked out and went home. That's very honest, and it shows that this person, may have some anger issues, but at least they were smart enough to take their anger issues home with them instead of taking it out on everybody at the workplace. But still, you really have to wonder if that would make a really good candidate or not, especially for certain work environments, right? I think another really not so good answer would be, hey, I don't like being told what to do. I'm a self-starter. Those two phrases, somehow they give the implication of being negative. I don't like being told what to do. To me, feels more offensive than the words, I'm a self-starter. And the reason for that is because if I heard the words, hey, I don't like being told what to do. To me, that says that you are someone who would potentially usurp my authority, or you're somebody who would not be a team player. Either way, that would be chaos in an environment where we need somebody who can play with the team and join the team and kind of fit right in there seamlessly without causing any mishaps or slow ups or anything else. So those are definitely not answers that I would love to hear from anybody who's coming for a job and is encountering the question rather, um, tell me weakness about yourself. Um, I wrote in my book, How to Get Ahead with Resumes, that the best way to answer this question is to take a fault or a consequence of a situation. I'm trying to remember my wording. Basically, what you would do is you take a situation where you can show you had a fault, but the consequences were a result of a action and not you the person. So for instance, I double booked two people to come in for something. I forget what it was. Point being is that money was, it's about money spent, people having to spend money to get to where I was located and for them to show up and to show out, right? And the fact that I had scheduled two people would be a fault. It would mean it would be narrowed down to mismanaging my time, right? So how would I put that to somebody that I don't know? So here I am, I'm interviewing, and the person says to me, so tell me your weakness. And I would say, well, you know what, at times I mismanage my time. And then I would go further and I would say, well, I double booked these two people once before, accidentally. And it just shows that I mismanaged my time. And at the same time, though, I was just so excited because these two people were perfect fits for whatever venue it was that we were working in, and I was so thrilled to have them both to come in. Sadly, though, I had to make a decision in terms of which one of them would go home because we did double book them at that moment, and I learned a very, very valuable lesson that I really do need to find another way to double check on the double booking. Oh, and by the way, the reason why they were double booked is because person A came to this venue based on a conversation that they had with my predecessor that I was not aware of. So either way, though, I definitely have to come up. I had to come up with a better way to fix that. And going forward, it never happened again because I put into place some different parameters and I put in some different methods to verify and check, people who were going to be coming. Now, that's a very long, lengthy answer, but the point being is that the consequence was I double booked. The action was that I mismanaged my time, and even though I had legitimate reasons for mismanaging my time, the fact that this person was booked by somebody else before me. Number two, the fact that I was so excited and I was so thrilled that I got to meet these two people and just like totally lost my mind. Yeah, they're good excuses, but you know what the bottom line is? I cost money. I wasted money. Yeah? And this brings me back to my point with asking about weaknesses. People forget that employers are investing money, in you, in me. And so when we have this question of tell me weakness, they want to get to the bottom of it, the same way I want to get back to the bottom of Mr. So-and-so, I don't know you, and in 1 month I need to know you well, right? And so we got 30 days. The employer has 30 minutes, and they have somebody in HR whose job it is to vet, to look at you and figure out, okay, can this person handle this situation? And so we know that. And everybody wants to be the next one to be invested in, right? That's why we want to get hired. So we want to make sure, though, that make a mistake, because if we hire the wrong candidate, that's a costly mistake. And it doesn't matter if it's a $30,000 a year job or it's a $500,000 job a year job. The point being is that either way, it's going to hurt whatever company it is, because that's just the way it goes. So with that in mind, when they ask that question, that's something that you should definitely keep in mind and come up with and practice actually your answers. If I were you, that's what I would do. I would practice those answers. I would tell my friends, tell my family if I have any. If you don't have either group, then you could talk to people while you're standing in the grocery store or wherever place you're doing chores and say, hey, I have an interview coming up. I'm almost positive they're going to ask such and such and such this question. Hey, tell me something about yourself, or rather, the question is more like, tell me a weakness about yourself. This is what I've been working on. What do you think? And you try it out and see what people say. People will let you know if they make sense to you or not. And I think that makes sense. I think one of the best answers that can be given is an answer that I gave. And that is that I am motivated to find ways to upgrade myself. And I use one day at a time to do so. You can try it on for size. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more tips on resume writing, interview taking, application writing, you name it, anything related to job search. This is Malka. Have a great day.